Hey, hey, yo, what's going on? Uh, I'm rolling a blunt right now, and I'm watching the news. And oh, my camera's up. That's cool. Uh, yeah, rolling a blunt, watching the news, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It's Arc Raiders, bitch. Let me hit that record button.
Donald Trump's first term, the U.S. got behind an effort to replace Chavez's successor,
Disable
Nicolas
stream
Maduro,
remote.
with a conservative,
That's
Juan
annoying.
Guaido, which also failed. Waiting in the wings this time is opposition figure Maria
Right.
Corina Machado, who was recently awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. The other twist, the U.S. now says Venezuela is a narco state. It has designated a group called the Cartel de los Soles, the Cartel of the Suns, as a
Larry
terrorist
Bird.
operation. There is no denying that corruption in Venezuela is real. That has been documented by NGOs like
Larry
Transparency
Bird
International
third.
and the UN's International Narcotics Control
That's
Board.
what this weed is
But
called.
analysts argue that the ties between the state and the drug trade are nowhere near deep enough to justify the bombing of at least 22 boats, the killing of 80 people and counting, attacks that under international law are illegal.
This is something in an almost postmodern way that the Trump administration has incepted into reality. This started out, the Cartel de Soles, as a slang term to describe Venezuelan military personnel who had grown corrupt for allowing the low levels of drug smuggling in Venezuela. A colloquial turn of phrase laundered through journalism over the years.
So this group we're talking about, Cartel de los Soles.
The drug cartel, Cartel de los Soles.
Venezuela's infamous Cartel de los Soles.
To now become a fixed idea invention of the Trump administration to
Yeah.
justify a regime change in
You
Venezuela.
guys be saying
This
anything.
notion of narco-terrorist is similar to just the notion of terrorism in the American mainstream media and Hollywood propaganda. This has always been kind of this villainous character
Plata o plomo.
that agitates people around the notion that, yes, we can go in and we can commit war crimes. It's no different than any other propaganda that sowed the seeds for horrific U.S. intervention in the past.
Because the U.S.
Very
can't
true.
simply argue we want a regime change. They have to argue, as they did in the case of Panama and Noriega, that the leader of the country is a cartel leader, a narco-terrorist, by labeling an entire country and demonizing Venezuelans in the process.
The Trump administration's position
Oh, I
on
was born
Venezuela,
today.
that it is a narco state, is easy for any journalist to debunk.
I
Far
forgot
more
about that.
cocaine comes into the U.S. from Mexico, Colombia.
That's probably all
Peru,
you're gonna
and
hear about
Ecuador.
that.
But none of those governments can satisfy America's addiction to another commodity, oil, the way Venezuela's can. It is sitting on more reserves than any country on the planet, including Iraq, which the Bush administration invaded in 2003. A war far too many American news outlets, the New York Times among them, helped sell to the U.S. public through the peddling of the WMD lies, the weapons of mass destruction that simply did not exist. History has a way of repeating itself. Sometimes it needs a little help. And many U.S. news outlets, even those that can be hostile to Donald Trump, are providing it once again.
The U.S. media is now, even as it presents critical coverage, noting the lack of evidence for what the Trump administration is saying. It still tends to default to the terms that he uses, that Maduro is a head of a narco state,
If the drug cartels go out of business, so does the Maduro regime.
that Maduro is involved in drug trafficking.
President Nicolas Maduro.
Like they don't
the
have
Trump
an actual
administration claims is
economy that they're
responsible for
running.
trafficking drugs into the U.S.
That there are narco
Bro, like-
cartels operating off Venezuelan
This is
soil.
ridiculous.
Pentagon says these forces will enhance and augment existing capabilities to disrupt.
There's nukes in the
They're not
drugs.
doing investigative journalism. The only one that did investigative journalism was AP when they sent reporters out to where these boats had left and documented these were just ordinary people trying to make a living. They weren't gang members, and that's the sad reality. We focus on political doctrine coming out of Washington that says that they want to kill them, and that's the damage that this language has on a society, on a community.
The New York Times is the liberal bastion in America. All liberals read it, it's their Bible. Look at the Iraq War, look at the New York Times
Bible is
lies
crazy.
for that. What is the New York Times saying today? Brett Stevens arguing there's vital American interests at stake. What are those American interests?
Oil.
Not freedom and democracy. Oil.
Literally.
Oil. They're not even trying to hide it anymore.
The New York Times really never met a war it wouldn't manufacture consent for. Not just in Venezuela.
It's so
during the 2002
stereotypical,
coup,
like.
But also with the Iraq War, the Afghanistan
Oh,
War.
better
the
not
war
let
on
America
terrorism
near your
generally.
oil.
So you can really
Can't
fairly
trust
rely
them.
on mainstream media, particularly mainstream liberal media, to find a way to oppose the last war but support the current or the future one.
We put that to the New York Times, which published that op-ed on the case for overthrowing Nicolas Maduro. Its response: our newsroom journalists report on the facts and details. Our opinion section offers a range of perspectives and ideas to help our audiences make up their own minds. The Venezuelan media space has problems of its own, long in the making. The suppression of journalism that started in the latter years of Hugo Chavez has worsened under Nicolas Maduro. At the time of Chavez's death, in 2013, the Reporters Without Borders Press Freedom Index ranked Venezuela at 117th out of 180 countries. It has since plummeted to 160th, with widespread censorship and persecution of journalists, which is why it was difficult to convince a Venezuelan reporter to talk to us, and the one who did insisted that we hide his identity.
People have to be very careful of what words they use, what information they put out, what topics they cover. There are subjects that simply need to be ignored. 2 radio journalists were suspended recently, their program canceled because they reported on the Nobel Prize given to Maria Corina Machado. The outlook for journalists is very challenging. Somehow, we have to find a way to get the news to the people.
With such a severe shortage of independent reporting, it can be difficult to gauge where the citizenry really stands. Venezuelans have already suffered through 10 years of economic sanctions that have crippled their trade sector, hit them hard in the pocketbook. Do they still defend their defective democracy, where according to the UN, the last 2 presidential elections have been neither free nor fair? Or do they stand with a meddlesome imperial power, the one that imposed those sanctions on Venezuela and has designs on its oil fields?
A recent survey by the Catholic University Andres Bello concluded that 8 out of every 10 people in Venezuela feel a political regime change is necessary. It doesn't have to happen through US intervention, but some people seem resigned that this may be the only way forward. After last year's elections, the government refused to accept the outcome, which was in favor of the opposition. And there was so much pressure and persecution that took place after that.
The reality is that most people in Venezuela are against an intervention. There's a small opposition group that supports an intervention, and if you were to look at social media, where bots proliferate and where phony accounts dominate, you would be bombarded with welcome signs for U.S. Marines. But the average Venezuelans don't want a war because the consequences would be disastrous, as it has been in every country where the U.S. has tried regime change, whether it's Iraq, whether it's Afghanistan, whether it's Guatemala, whether it's Haiti, whether it's Cuba.
In all the brown countries.
The peace negotiation process between Ukraine and Russia has been difficult enough, and that was before a series of leaks this past week.
Wasn't he supposed to get that done day one?
Meenakshi Ravi has been keeping up with some revealing developments.
Once again, the pattern that has plagued years of negotiations between Russia and Ukraine has reasserted itself. A potential peace deal, however flawed, is at risk of being shattered by the latest round of leaks.
So that took me a little bit.
The first came from an anonymous Ukrainian official who released a draft proposal that the White House claimed it had authored. The 28-point document was criticized for being far too favorable to Russia and for having minimal Ukrainian input. Then came the second leak to Bloomberg News of a recording of a call between Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, and a Russian official.
Bloomberg exclusively reports on a conversation last month. Witkoff advising Putin's aide
on
how to pitch the peace plan directly to Trump.
The leaks, whatever the source may have been, exposed that the Trump government is negotiating mostly with Moscow, similar to the way it negotiated the ceasefire in Gaza, primarily through Tel Aviv. The disclosures have dominated both Western and Russian media.
If any other advice,
I wonder if this has been coming through the whole
of
time.
a European or an international head of state were caught giving that kind of sensitive information to a foreign leader, they would be arrested for treason.
Именно поэтому они и публикуют эти утечки, делая сенсацию.
My boy, oh man, my boy sent the message to me, but he meant to send it to somebody else. Nothing crazy, but
in Ukraine there has been anger.
Actually, now that with that extra context, it might be crazy. It was a meme, but that's my homie.
В тому числі інформаційно-психологічні, дипломатичні, геополітичні. І, в принципі, тут очко на їхню користь.
That perception that Russia now has the upper hand could explain the shift in Ukrainian public opinion. Gallup polls indicate that 69% of Ukrainians are now in favor of the negotiations, some sort of compromise, compared to just 22% back in 2022, when most still wanted to fight. And that is an indication, perhaps, of where this story is going.
Thanks, Mina. Given the unprecedented rise in Israeli settler violence in the occupied West Bank, we are going to rebroadcast the report that we first put out back in March. It examines who the settlers are, how their radical ideology has been mainstreamed by the Israeli news media. Many of them are far-right religious extremists, prone to violence, living on stolen Palestinian land in the West Bank. Despite constituting just 7% of Israel's Jewish population, they hold a disproportionate political grip on Benjamin Netanyahu's ruling coalition government and are now pushing hard to re-establish settlements in Gaza.
There we are.
For certain Israelis, in normal times, this movement would be beyond the pale. However, since October 7, 2023, they have been granted center stage on Israeli news channels. We spoke with 3 Israeli experts on the settler push to colonize Gaza. 2 of those interviews were done via Zoom because the Israeli authorities have banned Al Jazeera there. The Listening Post's Nick Muirhead now on the settlers and their allies in the Israeli media.
Oh, yeah. What's the mission?
Attack. You know, there were rockets falling in Israel. There were no big events, music concerts, even weddings. People were very quiet.
We've had to build our topside infrastructure.
When you arrived to this venue in Jerusalem, 5,000 people
6 hours for singing.
Dancing and singing like the Messiah is coming.
The Raiders.
יעלו ויבואו משפחות גרעיני ההתיישבות. קהילת העיר עזה, גרעין המיועד להתיישב בעיר עזה.
They really see this opportunity. They're happy. You know, they saw October 7 as opportunity.
This is the Victory of Israel conference, one of a number of massive carnival-esque mega events held in the wake of October 7th. Attendees could take part in workshops on how to establish a settler outpost and rub shoulders.
Crazy. Insane work. Fucking
But who are Israel's settlers? And why, when the rest of the country was in mourning, were they choosing that moment to rejoice?
So settlers are Jewish Israeli citizens that believe that the entire biblical territory of Israel was promised to the Jewish people by God. They live beyond the Green Line, which is the internationally accepted borders of Israel, despite the fact that it's illegal by both international and Israeli law. And the way they do so usually is a few settlers will go into a Palestinian territory, put an outpost there, and expand that outpost. They start to supply them with infrastructure, water, security, electricity, and by this kind of tactics, they create a new reality on the ground.
The settlers are one of the most well-endowed sectors in Israeli society. They enjoy some of the most lavish subsidies and state budgets. They are represented by Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich, Minister of Finance, who have been propelled to power through the inclusion in Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet. So, although they are not a mass movement within Israel, they are only 5 or 6% of the Israeli population. Their power is unprecedented, and their ability to wreak havoc in the Palestinian territory is unprecedented.
There are hundreds of thousands of settlers in the West Bank. Many of them live there because it's cheap, because it's affordable. You know, there's no law there for them. They can kill, they can take over land. The public doesn't want to see it, and the media doesn't show it. So through the years, this has been normalized that the West Bank is kind of de facto part of Israel. After October 7, from the beginning, the settlers were talking about going back to Gaza.
Back because they had been there before. The last settler left the Gaza Strip in 2005 when the Israeli government dismantled 21 Jewish settlements dotted across the territory. That plan had been drawn up more than a decade earlier, in 1993, when Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin agreed to the US-brokered Oslo Peace Accords.
Enough of blood. Bring one of these, huh? Enough! Just in case we decide to befriend and not foe.
Rabin was assassinated 2 years later, not by a Palestinian, by an Israeli settler who saw the Prime Minister's efforts at peacekeeping as a form of betrayal.
This was a point in which the settler movement was experiencing a real political crunch. Most Israelis were supporting Oslo, and the settlers were considered the extremists and those who resorted to unheard of violence. The settlers movement created a campaign to win the hearts and minds of Israeli publics by doing their own hasbara, that they are not crazos, that it's actually beautiful to live in settlements and is actually the ideal life that every Israeli is dreaming about.
גינות גדולות, מרווחות, חניות צמודות לכל בית, והכי חשוב, אופציה לבנייה בעתיד.
One of the things that helped these settlers expand their media networks is the establishment of Israel Today, which is the most read daily newspaper in Israel, and then Channel 14, the first TV channel that is very, very much biased towards the right.
כשיבוא הזמן פקודה, אז לא תתחילו להתייפייף לי על כל מיני גורמים פלסטינים בלתי מעורבים. תנו לנו לכבוש כבר.
Now there is not a major TV channel or a newspaper that don't include at least one settler or two.
For example, Channel 12, the leading channel in Israel, you have Amit Segal, a son of a settler that was very close to Netanyahu. You have Channel 14, and you have many settler figures there, like Shimon Ritlin and Yanon Magal.
אין ביטחון בלי התיישבות, זה כתוב בפרשת השבוע. לא אכפת לי שירדו עליי, אוספים פה חומרים. אני לא נרדם טוב בלי שאני רואה בתים קורסים בעזה. מה אני אעשה? עוד.
Oh wait, I can craft. Duh.
שלא יהיה להם לאן לחזור.
After October 7, many people were invited to the mainstream media to speak about the plans to resettle in Gaza.
Among those calling for the resettlement of Gaza on Israeli airwaves, one voice stands out. Daniela Weiss is a veteran of Israel's settler movement.
מגיל 32 אני כבר עוסקת בהתיישבות כידוע.
At 80, Weiss has spent decades spearheading the establishment of outposts on Palestine.
80, hating. Professional
Today, she
hater.
is the leader of Nathala, a radical settler organization, and since October 7th, a mainstay on Israeli TV.
עכשיו אנחנו עובדים על תוכנית הרבה יותר מפורטת, כאשר ברור היכן יהיו אזורי מגורים, חקלאות, היכן תהיה הריביירה היהודית. עכשיו מה השלב הבא? להילחם, וליישב.
She's not hiding her extreme right-wing opinions.
התכנסו כאן נציגים של 700 משפחות של 6 גרעיני התיישבות שמיועדים להתיישב בתוך חבל עזה.
She will give interview to anyone. She will talk even to Western media, to left-wing outlets. She doesn't mind.
I'm sure. Will not stay in the Gaza strip will stay.
I need arc power cells.
She's very well connected to the ministers, to the army, and to the police. And you can see it with those.
That's what I'm forgetting.
It's a closed military area, and she managed to get permissions or force the army and the police to allow those events.
While the war is continuing, we build areas that were liberated in Jewish communities.
I feel like I'm getting propagandized.
To pressure Netanyahu, and we've seen their effect. The Israeli military was demolishing entire neighborhoods, not during fight, but after it, to make sure Palestinians...
Step inside and let the magic hands of medicine do their work, metaphorically speaking.
The ceasefire deal signed in October may seem like a setback for Vice and the settler movement. However, analysts warn that it could be more like a privilege.
If that doesn't help, I'll eat my shoe, if I had one.
Control of significant parts of Gaza. And calling it a ceasefire is misleading. The Israeli military has reportedly committed nearly 500 ceasefire violations since then, killing hundreds of Palestinians. And with settler violence reaching unprecedented levels in the West Bank, the project of ethnically cleansing Palestinians from their land is still well underway.
And the message of the settlers has been enforced and strengthened by the obsessive engagement of the Israeli media with the trauma of October 7. And the message is basically there's no chance that the Palestinians are ever going to accept any of us. We are all settlers. And this is an incredible boost to the settlements movement.
And finally, this past week, Brazil's top court ordered former President Jair Bolsonaro to start serving his 27-year sentence for trying to launch a military coup after he failed to get re-elected. Bolsonaro was president from 2019 to 22, a far-right populist leader with a habit of going after his critics, journalists included. Just ask Manuela Borges, a TV reporter.
It's almost over anyway, thank God. Y'all got the gist, right? You got the gist? Jeez Louise. Hands on your knees. Hands on your knees. Oh, wait. Let's activate this, ho. Hey, how you doing? I'm back. I'll be here in the bottom left corner. Fuck it, I'll take 2 of these. Two of those. Do you have a smoke grenade? No, I'm smoke grenade. Alright, well, I'll take those just in case. And alright, chat, I don't know where we're going, but we're gonna figure it out. Customization, we're gonna turn it green so we can blend in a little bit better, depending on where we go. For the black for the nighttime reads. I need to do medium damage. Oh, what the fuck? Where's my ammo? Dumb bitch. Alright, let's go. I'm ready. I'm ready for this. I'm trying to raid the Ark, as they say. Because I'm an Ark Raider.
Jimmy, pick up the pace. Orpheus is out.
Oh, he's choking.
Go time.
Okay. Now, smoking is like handicap. Whenever you smoke, you're literally handicapping yourself when you're playing a game. Probably this is probably not gonna be the only stream I do. I'll probably do another Cyberpunk stream. We'll see. We'll see if I'm feeling up to it. But right now.
Red alert, Raiders. We've spotted a harvester in your area. A queen is guarding it with her life. Only engage if you've brought your best gear, lots of backup, and a very good plan.
Oh yeah. We're not worrying about that right now. We're looking for players.
Let's go to the domes.
We don't even necessarily have to kill them. We could pick them up. Oh, I left those at home. Esperanza. The rocket
here. The water facility.
Rush, we got. Whoa! I'm just on my mission. I fucking knew it. Seen that coming. If only. I should have just busted at his. I should have just shot his ass. See, friend or foe, never know. This is why you just go full on feral. That handicap. Get good, scrub. That's what they say. Alright. I'm not fucking around. Damn battlegrounds. Same loadout. Slightly better equipment. Ooh, that pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie. I'm going in with a vengeance. All right. What else we got? That. The lack of ammo is definitely not appreciated. Quick use. There you go. Take that. Take that. We're not picking anybody up. Pardon me. We'll take that for bots and whatnot. Yeah, we're not fucking around with people, huh? Tired of it. person I see is getting it. Like that last dude who didn't fucking pop my ass. Oh, it's a different map. What am I doing?
Celeste here. Just a gentle reminder to keep an eye out for those salvage sites for Tien Wen. It may be just what we need to get her to pull her weight.
Or not.
Go to the domes.
This looks different. This same spawn again. Now 14 rounds. Now, I don't know why I thought it was a good idea. Should've just kept going. Alright. That's my karma for coming in so far. I came in with that aggression. But adapt to it. Matter of fact, what I do, I'll just take it off. Yeah, what am I doing? I'll find something better. I'll work with it. I wonder if me putting on like your outfit box for it, or if it's the same.
Snitch, there by the domes.
Something's around here. Yep.
Morning.
Not the other way around. I'm just fat. Can't do it 'cause I'm fat, huh? No, only goes down. It go down, bro. It go down. I don't see a soul. Okay, I hear something. I bet that hurt, you motherfucker. You're not getting that satisfaction. Alright, that's 2. It's been foes so far, it's for one day. Let's go another free kit. I usually have better luck when I do that, for some odd reason. What is this? Skill structures to cover large. Ooh! So it's a grappling hook. That's cool. Too well in PvP. Can't risk it. Fight best and you got nothing to lose.
2, 3, and 4 charging catapults. Discharge in 5 seconds.
Fuck, I'm high. Oh, Pharaoh. Oh my goodness. It's a good weapon. I wish it had 2 shots.
Hope you hear me all right. Keep your wits about you, Raider. When facing a drone, a careful shot to the thruster is far more effective than riddling them with bullets.
Western Station.
Oh, I see something. Okay, let's go. Proving to me I gotta be hostile. That's the lesson learned today. He had a shiesty on. Damn Pharaoh. I had nothing to lose. It's fine. Nah, that's just bright and out there. You gotta play the game. You gotta play the game. Can't be. saying nothing, I guess. Gotta lure him in. See how this one goes. Except for a bullet to the head. That's the game. That's the game. It's really teetering on that line of just like, do you want to make friends or is everybody? Now at least I have something I can do some damage to. Because that was abhorrent.
Let's go to the town hall.
Love and hate that gun. Opposite direction. I feel like I would be able to actually make that. Whoa, oh, hi.
Tisk tisk.
Tisk tisk. Damn, this is not my day today, huh?
What do you need, Raider?
Nothing here to see, just parts on rails. Raiders, take your seat. 185.
Adjusted to the dark yet, Raider? Loot is ripe for the picking while most of Toledo is asleep, though my suppliers say that Ark is twice as vigilant after sunset.
This is established I don't think I even can afford to right now. Right? This game has whooped my ass. Oh my gosh. What the fuck? This is brutal. Holy shit. Alright. Obviously I have not locked in. Let's just, ooh, wow. Let me just take a second off in between this match and just evaluate. What? Wow, that was crazy. That's crazy. What is happening right now? I have gone toe to toe with like 3-4 people at a time. Pause. And come out victorious. I am not understanding what's going on here. Was there like a silent update? I'm not sure. But for now, I'm gonna take a little second to breathe and recuperate from those solid ass whoopings. I got my shit handed to me. Wow. Gotta admit, this game, I love it and I hate it.
Welcome.
Maybe if I join up with a friend, that's better luck. Even if I don't mind. We're the film boys. Let's just shoot a shot out there while we look around on YouTube. Probably just gonna throw on some tunes, get myself into a good little flow state, you know. Talk about whatever comes to mind. I hate what YouTube has done with the UI. It's so inconvenient now. Like, what is this? I go through all my subscriptions before I get to my U. Can I have my U first before the list of, like, the... Okay. Show more, show less. Oh well. Still, like, I feel like it should be home, shorts, you know, your watch history and everything that you're doing, and then subscriptions. But, or at least have the ability to, like, swap between them like you do on the videos and shit when you have them on a queue. Yeah, this is a great album right here. If you know, you know. I'm not gonna say it. I'm just gonna say 2017 archives, and that's all. That's all. I'm not putting any elbows or anything. Pardon me. So what else is popular? What else is going on in the world? Other than the usual terror and despair. As you can tell, I'm not really hiding it.
The human body isn't perfect. There are universal weaknesses built into the design that no matter how strong you are, no matter how much training you undergo, you can never fully overcome should someone look to exploit it. The obvious are things like testicles, butthole, even nipples in a lot of cases where you really get in there and start tweaking on them. You'll have them acting like you got hit by a taser. But then there's also psychological weaknesses, the most powerful being going to a restaurant and having the restaurant staff sing you a birthday song because one of your friends told them it was your birthday. I don't care who you are, how tough you think you are, you can be the leader of the Salty Spittoon, doesn't matter. If you unfortunately have to sit there and get sung to with a little cupcake with a candle on it while the restaurant staff unenthusiastically wishes you a happy birthday, that will incapacitate you. It is a cringe that is hardwired into the human DNA. We were not meant to endure such torture. It will pierce even the most fortified psychological defenses. And I just saw a clip from some masochist willingly putting himself through this for the sake of some clout online because he really thinks, I guess, he was hot shit for spending $1,000 on a steak in Las Vegas. So he's not only did he waste $1,000 on what I imagine will probably be an underwhelming steak based on the video presentation, but he also then got an entire song and dance for like a full minute, all about him wasting his money.
That's why it's $1,000. Oh, this is ridiculous. Just open. Just give it to me.
Heavens to Betsy, it's like a fucking Bring It On cheerleading routine they've choreographed here, all because some goober forked over $1,000 for a steak, probably to flex to his Tinder date or something. And then he filmed it himself. My heart breaks for the staff here. I bet there were tears in their eyes when they got told that it's showtime because someone just spent $1,000 on the Golden Steak Boogaloo. So then they have to go in there, and I assume they have to be like trained by the restaurant to do this, like a break in case of emergency. If someone spends $1,000, you gotta put the tomahawk in the golden case, you gotta cue up this song, get the DJ on the horn, and then you gotta go over there and just go, hey, 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 oh, hey. Oh, it sucks so much ass. Holy. It is awful to imagine being in that situation. I couldn't even fathom the poisoned brain that would lead someone to want to do this to themselves willingly because they think it looks cool on TikTok. Like, you have to know people, not only in the restaurant, are turning around because of all this commotion insulting you, laughing at you, but you also have to know the video you're filming is going to get you ridiculed as well. It's not like a cool thing to waste $1,000 on steak and having the staff be forced to come over here and pat you on the back for wasting your money, as if this is like a cool thing that you've done. They don't want to be doing that. Don't let those hollow smiles fool you. They would rather most likely just be going about their business, doing their job, and then calling it a night without the need to have this, like, performance here.
Yeah, it's basically raw.
Wow is right. That was really something. $1,000 well spent on that experience, I would say. Also, that like, oh, hey, that they're doing. It reminds me of that episode of Jimmy Neutron when Jimmy's dad, Hugh, starts hunting caribou with his boys after that ice age happens and they start chanting, hoo, caribou! Also, if you're going to do this kind of thing where you charge an exorbitant price for something and want to make a whole spectacle out of it, this is about as lame as it can get. This is like a half measure. This is half-ass semi-chug. There's no costuming. There's no real, like, fun, flashy lights. There's no fog machine going off when they open the briefcase there. The briefcase looks like a Deal or No Deal prop spray-painted gold. It's lazy. It's uninspired. If this was my establishment and I wanted to have one of these stupid fucking things in there, a $10,000 steak that comes, you know, with a experience you'll never forget, I'm going whole hog. If someone orders that shit, I'm sounding alarms. I'd have a spotlight kick on and blast light like a heavenly glow on this stupid asshole that just wasted his money. And I'm having Cirque du Soleil flood out onto the dance floor and go through a crazy routine. I'd have a magician on standby just in case, and we'd wheel out a coffin that he'd sit up out of like the Undertaker and start pulling quarters out from behind this guy's ear that just wasted his money. I'd have this be the bells and whistles. This is not better. This is trash. This is very uninspired. So you get $1,000 and a bunch of hey and a little like hand waving, and that's it. It's stupid.
Ah shit. Oh, I was gonna fucking cut this off because I didn't want to fucking put the whole video up there or whatever. I won't. I'll do the VOD. Whenever I edit the VOD, I'll do that. Like for the stream, I guess it's whatever. I like Charlie. I want to like stream his content or whatever. He's usually pretty solid on his takes and everything. I agree with you, Sam. This is like, dude, this fucking, that's ridiculous. I could probably add more to it, I guess. Shit. Here we go. I get fucking distracted by the terrors of our society.
Have a warrant to search when they arrested him. This is from his attorney, Karen Agnifilo-Friedman. Quote, law enforcement has methodically and purposely trampled his constitutional rights by interrogating him without Miranda warnings. Those are your Miranda rights. In violation of the Fifth Amendment and illegally searching his property without a warrant in violation of the Fourth Amendment. Mangioni's attorney said, Altoona, Pennsylvania, that's where he was arrested, questioned and detained him, the cops there, for approximately 17 minutes before reading him his Miranda rights. In that time, they also seized his backpack without a warrant. So there's a lot more details I can read you, but I want to kind of give voice to the people out here. Reminder, I want to talk to you. Reminder, corporate media has been out here and there, but their main focus, and they're down there just to get a shot, but mostly their main focus has been trying to paint people out here as, you know, fans of murder or terrorist sympathizers or fangirls and fanboys and all this stuff. I can tell you, we've been out here, I don't know, John, what is this, 5th or 6th time? I I have not spoken with one person who says, yes, I love murder. I have spoken with a lot of people who have lost loved ones because of the predatory for-profit health insurance industry. I have spoken with people who themselves can't afford health insurance.
I'll say this.
I have spoken with people who
probably
say,
why I'll never get nowhere with this whole thing, because I'm not going to hold back. I don't think these people are fucking worth the waste of air. Like, if they die, they die. That's what they say to us, right? If you die, you die. Don't be poor. Alright, well, don't be a fucking evil, pedophilic fucking scumbag. Like, literally ruling the world with a fucking iron fist. Like, kill yourself. I'm not sorry.
I don't support murder, but I also support this man's right to a fair trial. I have spoken with people who say that in the grand scheme of things, who has murdered more people? Allegedly Luigi Mangione or Brian Thompson and the for-profit health insurance industry. So, you know, we're here because I think it matters that after this alleged murder happened, you saw this, for once, a truly bipartisan.
It should
I mean, I saw people on the left and right who don't agree on the weather come together saying, well, I'm not losing sleep over this man's death, and going into the predatory for-profit health insurance industry. And I should mention one more thing. December 1st, in 31 days, millions of Americans' healthcare costs are going to double. In some cases, they're going to go up 70 to 75% because we have a fucked up, predatory, mafia-esque health insurance system that has unnecessary middleman. That's typically what happens in the mafia. You have, you know, the middleman that hike up the rates because of the Obamacare subsidies. I'm not a fan of Obamacare. That's another story. But the point is, we have a screwed up system where people's health care costs at a time when people can't afford groceries, they can't afford rent, they can't afford utilities, they can't afford housing. I mean, the list goes on. Their health care costs are going to double just to have the privilege of using the health care.
Okay, so I have a legit question. What is it about? Why are people so fixated on having other people? I'm not saying, like, I'm not against working at all whatsoever. You need to work to have a society. Duh. Working to pay for things like water and shelter. Food can be debated. That can be debated, sure. I don't think that raw ingredients should be withholden. I don't think you should have to pay for the raw ingredients. If you can make something yourself, fuck it up in the kitchen, then that's on you. That's you. Go ahead. That's wonderful. But if you want that sirloin steak and fucking Wagyu shit, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna have to pay for it. I understand that. But shit that just grows, there are more vegetables on the planet than there are people. There are more animals on the planet than there are people. And even if that isn't the case, which I know it is, because there's only 0.8 billion of us, 8 billion of us now, probably. Hold on, let me check on my pod. What's up, boy? Holy shit, he was freaking out. I live in an apartment building, and I guess the neighbors were like ringing the doorbell or something. They locked themselves out. So, yeah, very inconvenient for me, but poor buddy. He was all scared. Thought somebody was trying to break in. That would be something on stream. That'd be crazy if that happened on stream. Not like I live in a bad area or anything like that, but you never know. Oh shit. Today's just strange. Maybe I should change the name of the stream, huh? Just chilling. That's what this is, I guess. I'll definitely get back to ARC here in a sec.
Meaning their healthcare costs just to have the healthcare plan is going to double, and then they have to pay. Then they have to still pay the deductibles. Then they have to still pay the co-pays, the co-insurance, and all the hidden goodies. So that's the point here. All right. So again, he's about to go in court. Let's see if we can talk. Can I talk to you? Oh, awesome.
Rural race. You guys are everywhere. Want to be like you and I grow up. So
thank you. What's your name?
Dodge Landisman.
Wow, that's a great Dodge Landisman. Holy cow. So tell me, this is a pre-trial hearing. We're expecting one of the trials to begin early next year. Tell me, today, specifically in this week, his lawyers are trying to get certain evidence tossed out that was obtained without a warrant or obtained. They didn't read him his Miranda rights. What are your thoughts just on, obviously there's a lot of chaos going on in America and it's hard to keep up, but why are you here? What do you think is at stake in the broader sense beyond just Luigi Mangione?
That's a good question. I'm an independent YouTuber, so I travel the country. I'm from New York, but I cover interesting court cases, especially those that have an outsized role, that are beyond just the person being prosecuted. And Mangione is kind of a perfect example of that. And there are two things that even Agnifilo is looking at. He's looking at trying to throw out everything that was found in Altoona, Pennsylvania, but also noting that there could be some politically charged language in calling Luigi's notebook a manifesto. So I kind of wanted to broadcast that one little bit of information to really show kind of how lopsided and biased prosecutors can be, especially the chief prosecutor, Pam Bondi. And I think lifting the hood and seeing what's under it is incredibly crucial and important. So that's why I decided to come here.
I want to point out with Pam Bondi, like I said, this is the New York case, but in the federal case, we should point out, there's been a lot of, shall we say, abnormal things that have happened in this case. But chief among them, the Attorney General, who is corrupt, I mean, let's just call it what it is, she came in, they brought the death penalty against him within basically 5 minutes. Typically, the Department of Justice, they take about a year to vet whether there should be a death penalty case. They did it in 4 months, I believe. And the Attorney General went on Fox News calling him guilty, not alleged. She did Instagram posts calling him guilty. Forget Luigi Mangione for a second. You don't want any defendant treated that way, even the worst of the worst, because you're supposed to be innocent till proven guilty here. So it seems that from the feds on down, the deck has been stacked against him in particular, in my opinion, because of who the victim was and that victim's class and what he represented.
I agree with you, and what's interesting to me is even though it was attempted, look at John Hinckley Jr. in the Reagan situation, and look at Arthur Bremer, attempted assassination against George Wallace. If I'm not mistaken, both of those people are now out of jail. Not only was there no death penalty attempt, they are now free. So it's interesting to very specifically target this guy where, let's say it was a street murder, it was a gang murder. I don't think there would be that effort to create the death penalty. So again, it's the same stuff with the immigration, with the deporting people en masse. It's creating this image to show this authoritarian, autocratic strength that Trump is very obsessive about projecting as much as possible. And so this is an example.
I should add, a shooter, 2019? I might have the date wrong, who shot up 20-something people in a Walmart in El Paso.
Right.
He did not get the death penalty. The shooter with the Parkland school shooting in 2017 did not get the the Uvalde shooter did not get the death penalty. So again, two things can be true.
Deserve certainly more so than healthcare CEO.
Two things can be true. There's plenty of people watching who say, Jordan, I don't give a shit. He allegedly murdered someone. I agree that healthcare CEOs are parasites, but we can't support murder. So you don't have to support what he allegedly did, but you have to acknowledge that they are throwing the full weight of the federal government against this one individual because of the class of the CEO. We should also remember, because it's hard to remember what happened 5 minutes ago in Donald Trump's America. After this happened, oh my God, the CEOs in New York and everywhere, like private security companies, their phones were off the hook. The New York governor was going to make a special hotline for concerned CEOs. I mean, we don't get that kind of protection. I can't call a special hotline if I'm feeling threatened. Can you kind of talk about, because when I've been out here before, we've seen corporate media out here.
It's a bit of a cliche to say, why doesn't the mainstream media care about this country or that war? But if there is any truly ignored war on Earth, it's the one going on in Sudan right now. Since 2023, Sudan has been suffering from complete state breakdown, and owing to its massive population of over 50 million people, making the current crisis not just the making of another failed state, but the largest humanitarian crisis on Earth. In 2025, it was the country with the highest number of people facing famine, of internal refugees, and the most mass death. Beating out, not to use another cliche, these wars you might be a little more familiar with. To fully understand the crisis, you need to understand how Sudan got to this point. But first, let me just try to share how awful Sudan's civil war is in under 6 minutes. The chain of events started when longtime dictator Omar al-Bashir was ousted after months of popular protests, triggered by economic collapse. Weighing into pressure, the armies called into the capital to defend him instead turned on him in April of 2019. They forced him out, giving the military power for a few months to go through a transitional phase. Two military sects held power together, the Sudanese Armed Forces and the Rapid Support Forces, a paramilitary and business empire which grew out of the Arab supremacist Janjaweed militia, which, by the way, translates in English to Devils on Horseback. Wow. The SAF was headed by Abdel al-Burhan, while the RSF was led by General Hamdam Dagalo, better known as Hemedti, also known to al-Bashir as My Protector. His career has been made through helping the Sudanese government crush rebels, controlling Sudan's gold exports, and sucking up to the president. After the transitional government, the two men which ran these militaries, big surprise, vied for control of the country against each other, rapidly degenerating Sudan into a civil war which broke out in April 2023. The main disparity was over the creation of a joint army. Al-Burhan wanted it done by 2 years, while Hemedti wanted it done by 10. Naturally, they started shooting at each other to solve this debate. Now the SAF controls the east, Nile River, and coastline, posturing itself as the true government, while the RSF controls the west, including a region known as Darfur, launching a campaign for either total control of the country or to separate as its own state. The details aren't really hashed out yet. The subsequent fighting has torn the social fabric of Sudan apart. At least 500,000 have died, with 15 million displaced, overwhelming refugee camps, and 25 million suffering from hunger as farms and food stockpiles are deliberately burned. In a country made up of 40% children, 90% of them are out of school. This is total collapse. Sudan has seen many civil wars in its history, but none reaching into its major cities. This time around, Sudan's capital and cultural center, the Tri-City area of Khartoum, has seen clashes and airstrikes, so much so that Al Burhan has had to flee to Port Sudan. When fighting couldn't be done between these groups, the army switched to civilians, indiscriminately bombing hospitals, schools, markets, and residential areas. Much of the fighting, though, is centered around Darfur, a notoriously arid land which has traditionally been Sudan's poorest region. There, the RSF has won victory after victory, receiving aid through a corridor it captured to East Libya. Sudan has had a troubled history of race relations. Many elites have declared Sudan an officially Arab Islamic country, sparking decades of unrest and conflict between them and the darker-skinned, mainly Christian people of the South, culminating in South Sudan's secession in 2011. More recently, though, has been the government's and RSF's fight against the non-Arab inhabitants of Darfur, a place literally meaning home of the Fur. This is an ethnically mixed region of Fur, Masalit, and Zaghawa peoples, along with many nomadic Arab tribes, many of which moved in the 1980s. Tension in the region over land rights, along with approval from the Bashir regime, culminated in a genocide of the native Africans by Janjaweed forces in the 2000s. A scenario that since the most recent breakout of war has started again. Capturing Al-Fashir, which was a regional hub for the displaced people of Darfur, would mark a huge victory for the RSF. For 18 months, they sieged the city, cutting food and medical supplies, building a wall of dirt around the city, and shooting anybody who tried to escape. On October 27, 2025, they finally captured it, starting what would become the bloodiest few weeks of the year. The mostly Arab soldiers went through the city, systematically torturing and killing all inhabitants over the age of 10. This is a group whose members call for the extermination of all black skins from Darfur, shouting that women will soon have Arab babies, and who've posted these atrocities all over social media.
What the fuck? Are you fucking kidding?
It is an attempted ethnic cleansing of Darfur. Tens of thousands died with its capture, a fact only known because of the piles of bodies seen from satellite imagery. In a city of this size, that means at least a tenth were killed within weeks of its capture, a speed of mass death not seen in the modern world since the Rwandan genocide. Now, it is in all honesty more likely than not Sudan will collapse. At least it will collapse in its current form, with the West either formally seceding like South Sudan or creating a shadow government that basically acts as its own country without going through the increasingly useless motions of trying to become a UN member state. How could a country get so bad to the point where nobody has the power to stop what will likely go down as one of the worst mass killings of this decade? Modern Sudanese history has been a cycle of military rulers, people getting tired of them and their despotism, overthrowing them in popular riots, only to end up with another military ruler.
Oh my
this
God.
has happened for 3 cycles, making up 52 of the almost 70 years of independent history. These chunks were the rules of Ibrahim Aboud, Jafar Namiri, and Omar al-Bashir respectively, each with a couple guys after them in the transition phase to the next military government. Sudan's current crisis is over who gets to lead the fourth. The first two dictators basically had the same trajectories. They both came to power through a coup, led a government based on military over civilian rule, centralizing that rule around their personality and brutally put down rebellions and protests. General Ibrahim Aboud was part of the Islamist coalition, while Colonel Jafar Namiri led the leftist one. Instead of tribal governments, to both of these guys, progress was going to come through the Islamization of Sudan. As a result, the defining political problem for most of Sudanese history was what to do with the South. Christianity was a pre-colonial religion of the people who lived here, and the mountainous and jungly land of the region prevented large-scale Arab or Islamic migrations. The primary solution the northerner elites thought of was to integrate it into a larger Islamic Sudan. The first constitution of the country already sowed divide when it was written for an explicitly Arab-Muslim nation. Both then tried to Islamize the South, and both faced organized military backlashes in 2 different civil wars. What's ironic is that part of the reason Aboud was ousted was because of fatigue the war brought, and part of the reason Namiri came to power was because he negotiated the end of that first war. Namiri then went back on that and did what the Islamist coalition couldn't do, create an officially Islamic Sudan, and he did it overnight, enforcing Sharia with one presidential decree, again seeing organized resistance from the south. So for the first 5 or so decades of independent Sudanese history, the defining motivating force of the military governments was to keep the South in the country through mostly violent means, killings and burning villages. The waves of war would kill and expel millions. Mass killings, which would be history defining for most other countries, were just a part of the long history of these wars. What didn't help the peace was the discovery of oil in the south, which would represent a great help to the cotton-dependent nation. The national refinery to process it would be built near Khartoum, rather than in the south where it was originally planned for, and the main port to export in Port Sudan. So to get it here, a pipeline would have to be built across the country, keeping the South dependent on the North for economic growth, of which it saw almost none, since no oil was exported until the 2000s. Also planned was the Jonglei Canal project to transfer water from the marshy south upstream to the north. The government promised foreign investors Sudan would have a green revolution with this project, having more arable land than the rest of the Arab world combined. Southerners protested for the rights to their own oil revenue and water resources, so the government promised development projects for the South, none of which were kept. In fact, the entire canal project was scrapped when the conflict intensified. This second bout of fighting would begin the longest civil war in African history, ending in the breakup of the country. The main resistance was the Southern People's Liberation Movement and Army, led by John Garang. Originally, they wanted to found a new Sudan, which was secular, democratic, and socialist, and actually had some northerners who were opposed to Islamic rule join it. The government was able to convince America to fund its campaign against these socialist agitators, while their funds came from communist Ethiopia. But after decades of fighting, the SPLM started explicitly calling for separation from the North. What changed for them was the start of the third military cycle. Namiri was ousted in 1985, and ineffective administration couldn't keep power, only to be couped by the National Islamic Front. In charge, al-Turabi and al-Bashir. The new NIF government would do just as the others had done, continue fighting the South and crushing their political opponents. But just 10 years after they took charge, the NIF split, not into ideological sects, but over who should be in charge. Before that, al-Turabi's most significant addition to history was being chums with bin Laden and getting Sudan put on America's state sponsors of terrorism list, ending all American aid to the country. Long story short, as the economy waned under sanctions, al-Bashir and the National Congress Party would take charge, marking a slowdown of the war with the South. For one reason, al-Turabi was the one more concerned with pushing in Islamic Sudan south. Secondly, the war was no longer affordable. Too many human and fiscal resources were going towards it, while sanctions were weighing heavy on the government. Thirdly, this new oil provided a huge incentive to end the war to get it going. And last, al-Bashir focused his military administration on another region, Darfur. During the Second Civil War with the South, fighting spread to the west as al-Bashir viewed Darfur with the same contempt that many viewed the South with. See, throughout the 1980s, a flow of nomadic Arabs came into the region to escape a decade-long war between Libya and Chad, which, by the way, in its final act, concluded with the Great Toyota War. Libya's dictator, Muammar Gaddafi, had planned on expanding his kingdom down into Chad and eventually the entire Sahara. To help with this, he set up training camps around his enemies. Darfur's unpoliced Wild West was a great staging post for his fight against the Chadian Hissène Habré. But a mix of refugees, weapons, and a constant stream of racial supremacy doesn't usually end up great for the local population. Though the two groups had coexisted for decades before, even commonly marrying into each other's families, that didn't last when the drought came. Then, tensions boiled over between native farmers and the nomadic herders over what little water supplies remained. What followed was complete breakdown, to the point where the police had to beg for fuel so they could do their routine patrols. And it was around this time when devils on horseback started to float around in relation to these new Chadian professional fighters. When Gaddafi failed to take Chad, many nomadic Arabs stayed in Darfur. Years of Arab oppression went by before they revolted under the Sudan Liberation Movement and the Justice and Equality Movement. Fearing the region would end up like South Sudan, al-Bashir empowered the Janjaweed to do as they pleased, burn villages and kill locals en masse. Because many in the forces aren't paid, they've been incentivized to loot as much as they can, leaving behind empty apartments, offices, and shops, leaving refugees to swell in makeshift tent cities in the suburbs. The Darfurian genocide saw the deaths of at least 500,000 people throughout the Second Civil War, an atrocity which Hemeti played a key and personal role in, and one which also made al-Bashir the first head of state ever to be indicted by the International Criminal Court for his role in masterminding it. As the military shifted its focus here, it left the South to negotiate their way out of the whole mess. Al-Bashir was open to it, and in 2005 they signed the Comprehensive Peace Agreement, outlining the post-war divisions of wealth and power, as well as giving the South the option to secede by 2011. Part of the reason, the NCP viewed the South as a distinct people, rather than a vacuum to be filled. Another, the American government pressured the country into it by promising to lift their sanctions if they gave the Christians freedom, which did not end up happening after news of the Darfur genocide broke. In 2011, with a nearly 99% margin, they voted to become independent. However, in one agreement during the war, the South would be defined as this line, the three original provinces. But in this new CPA, they would allow South Kordofan, Blue Nile, and Abyei to join as well, creating a disputed border that lasts to this day. Kind of. Sudan doesn't really have any borders right now. It didn't help that they agreed to split oil revenues 50-50, but around 3/4 of oil reserves were found in the south. So before and after independence, the two halves again fought over the border, especially over the oil-rich province of Abyei, leading to more deaths, displacements, and a harsh version of Sharia being implemented in the north, a version shaped by al-Bashir. He said there would be no more question of diversity now that the South is gone, a pretty bad foreshadowing as to how he viewed how he wanted his country to run, while the South pretty much devolved into ethnic slaughter as soon as it got independence. The decade between the end of the war and the South's independence was the only time Sudan really had an economic boom, as it used oil revenues to invest into education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Look at this graph of Sudanese foreign exchange earnings. The biggest thing here was oil, with gold barely making the same dent. 95% of foreign exchange and 60% of government revenue was tied to oil. Al-Bashir had also built a patronage network based on this oil revenue. Again,
I need
the crash.
I need
subsidies to basic.
Holy fuck! Holy fuck! Oh my god! God! Oh my god! Please, God! What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the like? Oh my god. What the fuck? I'm speechless. That's quite literally, like, what can you say to that? What can you say to that? What? Oh my god. Like, I want to throw up. I want to cry. My body is like screaming right now. They said they wanna. They said they wanna. That they will have Arab babies. That they're gonna cleanse. Oh my god, sorry. Alright, I'm not gonna, bro. Okay, I actually might throw up. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. That's evil. Just pure evil. Pure evil. Bro. That is the most horrific. That's how I'm gonna say it. That's worse than Gaza right now, it seems. Gaza's surely behind there. It's up there. But that shit right there, dude, oh my god, bro. Oh my god. Oh, that is that they bro, like they're you could see the images from space. You had satellite images, and I've seen images as well, but I didn't know it was like, oh my, I didn't even comprehend it. Just looking at those pictures, you don't comprehend that shit. That is fear, absolute fear. That is the most wretched of vile of things. And then I can't, and then like that's not even close to what happens in America. I'm sure that's probably just like a fraction. That's probably just like a real life fraction of it that we can visually see, like an actual representation of what that shit could have looked like or did look like in certain cases, especially on the ports. Just here in the genocide of the indigenous people here. This is wretched. What is this world? That such evil could exist and good people do not. Like you do realize that evil people are gonna make up fucking bullshit ass morality, not follow it, and then kill you anyway. Like, do this horrible shit to innocent people. All skin folk and kin folk, brothers, sisters. It's very true. Obviously. Shit, I don't even know what you say to that. What do you say to that? What can you say? What's there to do? There's something can be done. I'm sure of it. We need to get more attention on this. We need to do something about this. Like, why are people not talking? It's because they're black. It's because they're black. They just do not care. They really hate us so much. Oh well. I love us. I hate those that hate me. It's just that simple.
Goods were given to the Sudanese middle class, bribes and development projects were given to business and local elites, and funding to private security forces were all dependent on these fields. He also siphoned billions to overseas bank accounts for himself. Thus, after the loss of this chunk in 2011, he was screwed. From its peak of $10 billion in 2010, foreign exchange earnings fell to around $300 million in 2016, 3% of what they were. Al-Bashir then tried to ramp up pipeline costs for Sudan, which the South Sudanese president responded with murder-suicide, ceasing to transport all oil through the pipe. When that was resolved and it really dawned on al-Bashir how little sources of foreign revenue he had left, he institutionalized the Janjaweed, rebranding them as the RSF and allowing them to do whatever they could to make money. He basically privatized this militia group. They exported soldiers to the Yemeni civil war to make some money, got into construction, trading weapons, but most importantly, started gold production. Especially after they captured the massive Jebel Amir gold mine in Darfur. Big shocker, this didn't replace Sudan's lost foreign exchange, and as an import-reliant country, losing their reserve would result in a, what we can say now, country-ending crisis. In 2018, his patronage network formally collapsed when he ended subsidies to bread and fuel, nearly tripling the price of food for the average person, starting the protests which ousted him, taking us back to where we started. The loss of South Sudan broke al-Bashir's patronage system and left a bloated military with nothing to do, attempting layoffs which threatened the regime as many young, military-trained men would suddenly be out of work. To give you some perspective, roughly 70% of the government spending went into the army or private security groups in 2016, while 2% went to education and 1% went to health spending. Throughout this whole thing, the RSF, likely seeing the writing on the walls, created their own streams of revenue to stay independent from the central government. A far ways from Hemedti's humble beginnings as a camel trader, he now controls the region's mines and oil refineries, cementing a literal business empire in the desert. Their most important connection is with the UAE, which is the world's hub of gold refining and trading. It's been reported that they've sold hundreds of millions of dollars worth of gold to the Emirates through Hemedti's family company Al Junaid, and that the Emirati government has funded the paramilitary with smuggled weapons and aid through the Eastern Libyan corridor. Of course, they officially deny all of this, but the Emirati business interests in the country are too great. It's one of the biggest gold-producing regions on Earth. And by placing a bet on the RSF winning the war or seceding, they can keep growing their position as the world's gold superpower. They also rely on Sudan for food imports, as it was an al-Bashir program to sell some of Sudan's farmland to many Middle Eastern powers for their own food security, seeing what a lack of it could lead to. Keeping Sudan semi-functioning is just in the interest of the Emirates. And according to some experts, if they withdrew tomorrow, there's a good chance the war would end real quick. Also involved in the war are Russia's Wagner Group, also betting on the RSF to win to protect gold supplies under the Mero Gold Company, and on the other side, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Iran, Ukraine, and the Russian government, who would all like to see some sort of stability in what they view as a geostrategically important region. Despite all their atrocities, the RSF still wants to project themselves as a force of democracy and peace to gain governing legitimacy. in a world where you don't really have to go through these motions anymore. In 2025, the RSF came together to declare a government of peace and unity, drafting a constitution for what their new country may look like. And although there's not really another government on Earth who buys this delusion, basically sanctioned by the whole Western world, there's also not a government who really cares much to do anything about it. Meanwhile, sitting in the southern Nuba Mountains, a remnant of a past war can be found in a new form. Distracted by the civil war, the SPLM has attacked and set up a little republic of New Sudan, comprising about 500,000 people. They've started their own English language schools, made their own court system outside of Islamic law, and have started the fight for a Western-style secular democracy. It's a reminder as to how far Sudan has gone in its current crisis, that the issue the government has spent almost its entire existence trying to stop has just gone ahead because nobody has the capacity or care to squash these southern rebels. Unfortunately, there's just not that much care to go around for what is almost certainly Sudan's largest crisis in its existence. Not much care for the increasingly nihilistic people living there, leaving behind no governing structure for society, and, unless you're the Emirati Sheikh, not much care from the outside world as well. If you enjoyed this video and are a long-time viewer but haven't subscribed, please do. It's free and it will go like beep boop in the algorithm, being like rocket fuel for this channel, incentivizing me to make more videos. And if you haven't checked out this video, do that as well.
Yeah, that's insane. Like what? Like, yeah. Yeah. It's... This is like crossed level insanity. You know? That was insane. Crazy work. Crazy work. Alright. Let's pick a different jam, you know? Cause right now... Let's not put on that sad, no. Let's just keep it tempo, you know. Cause I'm not gonna lie, that fucked me up, bro. I almost threw up over that shit. Cause I know what even them saying that, it doesn't even like compare to the actual like depth of those actions. Shit. GG's, chat. GG's. That's something else. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stop it here, actually, because that fucked me up. Wow. Y'all have a great one. Fuck the UAE. Fuck the UAE. Fucking. They're vile. It's evil. They're evil. They're evil. No way. There's no way. Wow. Fuck the Israeli state. Fuck the UAE.